Hello and welcome to Designer Discussions with Jason and Miriam. Today we are going to talk about our favorite moments and episodes of 2025. Welcome to the Designer Discussions podcast with
Jason.
Maria.
and Miriam. Tune in each week where we talk about marketing, PR, and business advice for design professionals.
Awesome. This is one of the episodes I love because we get to recap what happened over the year and just get to talk about all of the episodes we went over and which ones we like the best. I'm going to actually start with episode 140, How to Break Up with Social Media. That is where Maria and we had talked about how what happens is that a lot of designers and remodelers, they get stuck on having to do so much on social media, it gets overwhelming. They feel like they have to post every day, they have to do all this, and it's not all about that. It's more about how to be strategic and do just enough to have the effect without having the overwhelm. So that's one of the episodes I like. And then also episode 137, where we did the KBiz overview. That one we always have on Jan, who attends KBiz every year, and she walks all 3 days over to see what is happening. And I attend KBiz a lot, but I don't have the energy and to do everything that Jan does. So we actually appreciate having her there, where she goes into each of the areas. She overviews what has happened. She talks about the trends. So if you do not have a chance to attend KBiz, you can listen to that episode to hear what happened in a high level overview. And that helps a lot. Another episode is episode 141. I had talked about what to do when your business starts to slow down. This year, I had traveled across the country, and one of the topics they wanted me to speak on is when the economy slows down, how do you do effective marketing? So that was one of the things I had talked about, and I gave some high level oversights. Those are just some of the things I had talked about, and I'm gonna hand it off to Miriam so she could talk about some of the episodes she liked the best.
Okay, yeah, Jason, you stole a couple of mine, so now I have to find other ones. I'm gonna start with my most favorite episode of the year, which is episode 151, when Robbie Maynard joined us to talk about actually what she had learned in the 3 or so years that she had been working with us in our academy program. And it was so fun to have her come on and talk about what she learned and how her confidence grew and how she really generated results. And she's actually probably my star student when it comes to PR and getting those quick press placements that I so often talk about. And it was amazing because right after the episode, she ended up being picked up in Architectural Digest, which had been ever since she started working with us, that had been her ultimate goal. So it was just so it was just incredible to see that that actually came to fruition, and she worked hard on it. But it just goes to show that you can once you start and you're consistent with what you do in your marketing and especially also in your PR, there's no limit to what you can achieve. You can set your goals super high, and eventually you will get there. So that was super fun. That was my top one. Then one I really liked too is episode number 144, where Jason, you talked about the number one referral tool, which people say, wow, what is that? I'm like, it's email marketing. And you have some really great case studies that you talk about in the episode that goes to show how effective it really is if you do it well without putting a ton of time and effort into it, but just consistently putting out content that's relevant and staying in touch with people really can make a difference in the number of leads you bring in. So you talk about that a lot, but I think it's something that's really kind of underappreciated by a lot of people because they say, "Oh, I have to do social media or I have to I don't know, we could argue about this, but maybe you should do email marketing instead of social media at this point." We also had a couple of episodes about just evaluating the importance of social media this year, which were also good. But the number one referral tool one was another one of my top ones. Then I also really liked talking about the secret to AI search, which nowadays actually is PR and media placements. That's episode number 147. And I like that episode because this is really a very recent development. And it's important for all of us to stay on top of it. And it really, for me as a PR pro, it's it's kind of gratifying to see because PR always is like a nice to have sort of, but that is changing with what's happening in search because media placements and the implicit third party credibility that they bring with them because they're it's high profile online placements. It it really makes PR much more of a necessity if you want to be seen in today's search. And so much of search, I don't know what the percentage is, but so much of it happens on AI platforms, and I'm sure that's a trend that's only going to increase. So I thought that it was really important to share that with our audience. Yeah, I'd say those were my top three. I also loved Jan's Cabus episode. I think it's just, uh, and I didn't get to go this year either. So it was just great to hear about all the stuff that was happening. So I hope we'll do that every year so we can stay on top of the trends that are coming out at the show every year.
Okay. The last episode I want to talk about is episode 150. That's who we are. We did a reintroduction into who we are so you can learn just a little bit more about the host. Those were just some of our favorite episodes of this year, and we want to hear from you. What episodes did you like hearing from us this year? So let us know. Send us an email. We'll be happy to hear from you. So this is it for this year. So we want to tell you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and we look to seeing you here in 2026. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Designer Discussions and all of the helpful information. Subscribe to our podcast, leave us a review, and share it with your friends. We look forward to having you back next week. For more information on the podcast and the marketing studio, visit designerdiscussions.com and follow us on social media.